It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio set up better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Montreal, the everyday and the extraordinary. The Elias Macco Show on CJAD 800.
We've been talking quite a bit about Lyme disease this year because we know that the ticks that cause Lyme disease are being found more commonly, particularly in certain regions here in Quebec. The Eastern Townships accounting for the largest share of cases so far this year. Parts of the South Shore, the Outaouais, several other regions. We've also had kind of anecdotal stories of people getting bitten by ticks right here on the island of Montreal in suburbia when they're out, doing some gardening or cutting the grass. Here to help us more about the worries about Lyme disease and how a pharmacist might be able to help you is Dr. Paola Frengul, independent pharmacist. Doctor, welcome to CJD.
Hi, Trudy. Thank you so much for having me. I'm a big fan of yours.
Oh, thank you very kindly. That's nice of you to say. Tell us about Lyme disease. Are you hearing more about it in a professional capacity this year too?
Yes, so I have been hearing about it more and more. So Lyme disease is a bacterial infection transmitted by an infected black-leg tick. Sometimes we call it a deer tick. So it's important to know that not every tick carries the bacteria. So finding a tick does not automatically mean you have Lyme disease. The little immature ticks called nymphs are so small. They're as small as a poppy seed, and the bite is usually painless. So Lyme disease matters because early infection can cause less severe symptoms like a rash, fever, fatigue. But if left untreated, it could spread to the joints, nervous system, and less commonly, but it happens, the heart.
Which is, you've heard about some people who have suffered severe Lyme disease infections, and it is not a lot of fun. It brings people right to the edge sometimes, what they go through. So if it's hard to detect that a tick is biting you because it's so small, what are you to do?
So the best thing is, first of all, to know where are ticks found. So they're found in forests, wooded areas, shrubs, tall grass, and gardens. You can even encounter them on golf courses. I know Canadians love to golf. It's more prevalent, however, in the rough, longer grass and wooded edges rather than freshly mowed fairways. And it's important to know that ticks don't jump. They latch onto you while you brush against vegetation. And there are certain preventative measures that you can take in order to prevent a tick from latching onto you.
So what's the best way?
Yeah, so I like to keep it simple. So wear long, light-colored clothing. Not that ticks are particularly afraid of light-colored clothing, but we see them more on light colors. Use an insect repellent, such as DEET or a cardan, and avoid brushing against tall grass when you can. It's important when you get home from an outdoor activity to check your body carefully and to shower as soon as the outdoor activity is over. I recommend around 2 hours after.
So are you recommending the shower because that might wash a tick off, or you're recommending a shower because people have to strip off, get naked, and can see more of their body when they're nude?
So kind of for both. Obviously, when you scrub your body, it's going to help you see the tick. Like let's say you scrub your body and you feel it. Or sometimes they could be on your body and not necessarily bite you. So it's going to help it come off. And also, when you're naked and you're showering, it's going to help you see them better, too. Because sometimes they could be in hidden places. They like warm, humid areas, like behind the knees, groin, belly button. I know we don't check our belly button quite often, but sometimes we can find the stuff. Armpits, around the ears, scalp, and lower back, and buttocks.
It's hard to see on your back, though. That's why, that joke about, hey, honey, you want to come up to my apartment and let me check you for ticks? That kind of...
That's it. It's a good one-liner, too, but you can always use a mirror if you live alone.
And if you do find one and you suspect it has bitten you, is that when you go to the pharmacist, or do you wait to see whether you get that bullseye infection that they talk about?
So you for sure have to go visit a pharmacy whenever you suspected that you've gotten bitten or that you gotten bitten. And it doesn't always look like a bullseye either. It could look like a regular rash. And pharmacists play a huge role in Lyme disease prevention. So after getting bitten, you go to the pharmacy promptly. Pharmacists can assess the bite and determine whether you qualify for a preventative antibiotic that can reduce the risk of developing Lyme disease. If it's appropriate, it must be given within 72 hours after the tick has been removed. And you guys can remove it yourselves as well. I'll talk about that. We assess usually how long the tick was attached, where the exposure happened, whether you have symptoms and your individual situation. And what's amazing is that in the right situation, preventative antibiotics can reduce the risk quite significantly of developing Lyme disease. It's not 100%. So even if you took the preventative antibiotics, you could still develop Lyme disease. You can talk to your pharmacist if either you have further symptoms, and they'll decide if you need to go to the emergency or consult a doctor.
Now, tell me a little bit more about the visit to the pharmacist. If the tick bite site has to be viewed and it's in a private area, in other words, you're not going to be asked to disrobe in the lineup with all the people behind you. You're probably going to be taken into a back office or something, right? Yeah. So normally people take pictures if they want to show us. Sometimes they describe it. I mean, I believe my patient if they say that they've been bitten by a tick or they think that they've been bitten by a tick, depending on the situation. I don't always need to see a picture either. It depends on where we are. The geographical location is also very important. But at the pharmacy, we always have a private room where we can assess patients privately. It doesn't have to be in front of everybody like a show. Well, that's good. And do you, if the tick has come off or you've taken it off at home, is it important to take the tick to the pharmacist?
Not necessarily. So once you remove the tick, we do recommend to keep it in a sealed vial, put the time and date and area that it bit you and put it in the fridge. But let's say you can't find the container. It's not that important. We don't need it to assess the situation, and the doctor doesn't need it to diagnose Lyme disease either. It's just an extra for us to help us assess.
And as a pharmacist, this is one of the new abilities that you have under the way medical care is organized in Quebec, that you can prescribe the medication. Is it usually a well-tolerated medication?
It's a pretty well-tolerated medication. I wouldn't be scared. It's only one dose that we take for the prevention. And then after that, if ever you do develop Lyme disease, you take the full course antibiotic. But as pharmacists, it's only the prevention. It's one dose, and it's pretty well tolerated usually.
And is it a pill? Is it a liquid?
It's a pill. It's a pill. We could put it in a liquid form for children, or let's say if an adult can't swallow a pill, we can also give a liquid form. But very easy, just one dose.
And how do you recommend that the tick be removed?
Okay. So we have tick removing tweezers that you can buy at the pharmacy that are specifically for ticks. But if you don't have that, it's okay. You can use fine tweezers. So we recommend to put the tweezer as close to the skin as possible and pull slowly and steadily. Don't twist or crush it. If a tiny part stays behind, I do see that in my practice. Sometimes a little part of the tick stays in the skin. Don't dig into your skin or try to perform like a minor surgery at home. Just let the skin heal. Let it be. It's going to be okay. Clean the area after. And yeah, it should be okay. If ever you're afraid to take it out, because I know some people are, you can always go visit a nurse. There are a lot of nurses that work in pharmacies right now, or your local CLSC.
So that's something that a pharmacist cannot do, is touch you to remove the tick.
Normally, pharmacists don't do procedures like that, but we do have a nurse on site that can do it at certain pharmacies.
All right. That's all good to know. Any final thoughts for us, doctor?
So I want to tell people that enjoying the great outdoors is one of the greatest pleasures of our life. It's so important to get outside, get some sun, and be in nature. But we just have to do it in a safe way. So my goal is not to scare you guys. It's just to tell you guys to do it safely, spread awareness, and enjoy summer.
Dr. Paola Frengul, thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful speaking to you.
You too.
All right. Have a great day.
Take care, Trudy.
10:16 is our time. We check traffic from the CJAD 800 Traffic Center.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio set up, that'll be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
The newest tracks. Let's go. New music. And the next big thing.
Always on the new music first.
Your first place to hear it all.
'Cause you gon' like it, love it, wanna play it twice. Playing now.
iHeart New Music. Your digital station for brand new drops, fresh finds, and tomorrow's bangers.
I think we need something new.
Discover iHeart New Music. Always fresh, always first. Stream now on the free iHeartRadio app.
Breaking news. Considered.
The
Elias Macco Show.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio set up, that'll be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
The clock is ticking down on the final 48 hours before the latest round of Trump tariffs due to go into effect, the 50% on a wide range of Canadian goods. There were some trade meetings over the weekend, including a virtual meeting yesterday involving Canada-U.S. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc and U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer. The Canadian office is describing the meeting as constructive is the word that they're using, but still no indications that there's been any major breakthrough ahead of that deadline. Here to help us understand the situation is Ian Lee, Associate Professor at the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. Professor Lee, thanks for joining me.
My pleasure, Judy. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
I think there are big worries that as the deadline approaches with no sign of a real breakthrough, that Canada may get more and more desperate and start opening wider to concessions. What is your feeling about what's going on behind these closed doors?
Quite frankly, my interpretation is different, and acknowledging none of us know what's going on behind closed doors. There's been occasional leaks, but some of them could be strategic leaks designed to influence public opinion. We don't even know that. We don't know how accurate the leaks are. Are they deliberately leaked to try to influence the political climate, or are they a reflection of what's actually going on? With that said, my sense is, from everything, multiple comments that have been made, not just in the last week or so, but over the last multiple months, is that the sticking point or the compromises or the give-backs, whatever you want to call it, that the American side are demanding of the Canadian negotiators. And this list of demands by the Americans is not a secret. That list, I know some people have said that, Trump has just created this out of thin air. And I'm not here to defend Trump. Don't agree with anything he does or says. But the list of American demands has been very well known for about a half a century. The U.S. Trade Rep, which is the government department that negotiates and manages trade relationships with other countries in the U.S., has published an annual report in the Congress, open to the world. Anybody can see it. It's not a secret document. And it lists all the trade irritants by country, alphabetically. There's Canada just before China. And they actually list the items that are upsetting the Americans, what they call trade irritants. This list is published every year for 50 years. And down that list, there's been a number of issues, and supply management is one of them. This did not come up out of thin air in the last year or two or three since Trump was president. It has been listed by every American president since Ronald Reagan, or even before that, but certainly since Reagan. And so we have to decide, and this is the sticking point, do we want to lie down or die on that hill, to use that famous phrase? Do we want to die on the hill and give up a trade agreement because we want to protect, for example, 8,000 dairy farmers in Ontario and Quebec? Or do we recognize that the grand prize, the Stanley Cup of these negotiations, is access to the largest economy in the world, called the U.S., 32 trillion GDP? And my fear is that we're more worried about defending particular protected sectors in Canada, supply management being one of them, than we are about the larger, vastly larger prize, which is access to the U.S. market. But that's where I think the sticking point is that public opinion has become so inflamed against Trump, which I do understand, that they're saying, and the polls are showing, don't give up anything. Don't compromise on anything. Well, if we really believe that, then what are we even doing at the table? Why bother negotiating if you're not going to negotiate? Because negotiations necessarily, whether it's divorce negotiations or it's country-to-country trade negotiations or it's peace and war negotiations in the Middle East, or if it's a company and its suppliers, it necessarily involves give and take. I'll give you this if you give me that. That's the core and the essence of negotiations. But I think the leaders of our country are so spooked right now by public opinion, which is showing massively they don't want any compromises or any givebacks to the Americans, that I think it's making it much more difficult to get a deal.
There is a political complication here in Quebec because of our election coming, our provincial election coming this fall, where the front runner is a separatist party that would love an attack on supply management because it would be fuel to its argument that, the feds are doing nothing for Quebec, that the feds, would throw Quebec under the bus, throw Quebec dairy farmers under the bus in order to secure a deal. So it is a delicate question. I don't think it's all elbows up. I think it is a more delicate question here.
I don't dispute at all that it is extremely difficult, not only because of the demands of the Quebec Premier. I mean, Ontario is willing to basically go to war to protect the auto industry, which is overwhelmingly, exclusively in Southern Ontario. It's not in Western Canada. It's not in Quebec. It's not in the Maritimes. And the auto industry is 1.5% of GDP of Canada. It's a very, very tiny sector. People think it's huge. It's not. And so the premiers across the country have their own pet files, and they've been very, very demanding on this. And it makes it, yes, you're right, much more difficult to get a deal. But I don't mean this flippantly, but that's why we pay the Prime Minister of Canada the big bucks. And I mean by that the prestige and the power and the authority of having the biggest and most powerful and important job in the country, which is the national leadership. And that calls for leadership. And he's going to have to show leadership on this and convince the premiers why it's in the national interest of the country to have a deal over walking away from the deal because we're not willing to compromise on certain very important sectors, such as supply management or automobiles. And he's going to have to decide, am I willing to walk away? And the reason I'm saying this is I think it'll be catastrophic for Canada. Let me repeat that. It will be catastrophic for this country if we don't get a trade deal. Not because people say, what's the big deal? 5%, 10%, 15%, we can live with it. It's not the tariff. The tariff is not why it's catastrophic. It's that large numbers of businesses have already said in that KPMG report study 2 weeks ago that they're looking at moving and exiting from Canada to the States if there's no deal. In other words, we will experience capital flight where large numbers of businesses will leave the country completely. That's my fear. And the Canadian dollar will crash. I mean, it could go down to 50 cents. And there are other people saying this too. And we import a third of our economy, third of our GDP, including food. So if the Canadian dollar crashes down to 50 cents, it will be unbelievably catastrophic for individuals because it'll feed back into the price of the goods we buy. So to me, I mean, we're so focused on, are we going to save the auto industry? Or are we going to save supply and management? We've lost sight of the fact of the entire economy. And that's much bigger and much more important than these two very small sectors called supply management or auto.
Professor Ian Lee, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts this morning.
My pleasure. Thanks very much.
Professor Ian Lee is an associate professor at the Sprott School of Business at Carleton University. We have James Foster standing by with the 10:30 update, and after that, we'll speak to a taxi industry insider about why the cabbies who work up at the airport are not very happy these days, and it doesn't have to do with the traffic either. That's coming up.
This newscast brought to you by Supermarché Ackevan, where fresh, hot bread is baked on the spot every day. Freshness you can taste, quality you can trust.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio set up, that'll be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Canadian women are looking for more out of themselves, their businesses, their elected leaders, and the world around them.
And that's why we're thrilled to introduce the Honest Talk podcast.
I'm Jennifer Stewart.
And I'm Catherine Clark. And in this podcast, we interview Canada's most inspiring women.
Entrepreneurs, artists, athletes, politicians, and newsmakers, all at different stages of their journey.
So if you're looking to connect, then we hope you'll join us.
Listen to the Honest Talk podcast on iHeartRadio or wherever you listen to your podcasts.
The Elias Macco Show, on demand.
On demand. Don't miss a thing.
Find your favorite clips at CJAD800.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
It's not just frequent and lengthy traffic congestion that has taxi drivers servicing the Trudeau Airport upset these days. It's also a new fee that they're expected to pay. We'll talk to a taxi industry insider about what's going on coming up.
Listen wherever, whenever, on your radio. Online at CJAD800.com. On your smart speaker.
Playing CJAD.
Or your phone. Through the iHeartRadio app. Where and when you need us. This is News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen. Cheers. Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap one.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio set up, that'll be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.
La STM vous souhaite la bienvenue à bord.
He has an Opus card and a microphone. You're in transit with Elias Mackos, CJAD 800.
And on In Transit today, we're talking about taxi rides from the Trudeau Airport in Dorval. Why? Because some of the drivers there, a lot of the drivers actually, who service the airport, are not very happy about some new fees being imposed by the company that has the monopoly to supply taxi service for passengers leaving the airport. And they say this is just a bridge too far, a new fee that they have to pay, and amounts to about $400 a year for a new dome light on top of their car that will make clear that they are with Taxelco, which is the monopoly holder on the service. They say that is coming at a time when the fee that they have to pay monthly to be part of Taxelco is up $25, and the kickback that the drivers and taxi owners pay to the airport authority has gone up for the second time in the past year, when is now $6.44 for every taxi leaving the airport. So the drivers are saying they're fed up. They're hoping to head off this new fee, as we do for many times for industry-related, taxi-related industry news. We go for some analysis to George Boussios, head of Taxi Champlain Taxi. George, good morning.
Trudy, thank you for having me on.
Champlain Taxi has no relationship with Taxelco, correct?
Absolutely not, no.
All right. So those are not your taxis up in the lineup waiting for passengers at the airport.
Well, before the Taxelco took over last year, anybody in the city could have applied, and our cars were in there, the co-ops, Pontiac, any type of Montreal taxi could have. But since the ADM decided to give it to a private company, one company, they did a bid, an offer, and Taxelco won that bid. So they're exclusive now at the airport since last year.
Now, all taxi companies want to make money, but do you have any sympathy for the drivers who are saying, well, wait a minute, dinging us for this special dome light just to make sure that Taxelco's name is on it? It's not something that they feel improves their revenue in any way, because their audience is built in. Their customer base is built in. They all line up in the same line. They pick up passengers as the passengers present themselves in the taxi queue. Is that not how it works?
Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated than that. First, let's just put it in perspective. Most taxi companies are included, and ours included, and most in Montreal are owned and operated by taxi drivers. Taxelco is owned by Pierre-Carl Paladot. So that alone just tells you that the Pierre Paladot's history when it comes to employees and how he treats people, it's a little bit of a different way of doing business. Our goal is to make sure our drivers make money. Their goal is for the company to make as much money as they can off their drivers' back. Now, having said that, the drivers knew what they were getting involved with when they signed the contract. I had drivers in our company that left our company and joined Taxelco to go at the airport. They knew the cost. Taxelco spent millions of dollars to win the bid. I know for a fact ADM has given them strict performance requirements, heavy financial penalties if they don't meet their requirements. So they have to make sure they get their money back that they gave ADM. So they're raising I think they raised it twice, you said, in the year. What I don't agree is with the dome. The dome belongs to the driver. What they're trying to do is there are a lot of illegal taxis in the city. We're having this problem everywhere. So they want the drivers to give a deposit for their dome. So when they leave the company, they're going to come back and get their $250 as opposed to just leaving the company and then just driving illegally in the city, and somebody gets into a Taxelco or a Champlain company and calls the company and says, we have a complaint against his driver. He's no longer with us. So the incentive for the $250 deposit is for the driver to come back, bring their dome light, so when they go work independently, they don't have their company logo on it. I mean, they're trying it that way, but I know they're trying to recuperate. It's a huge contract with the ADM. They offered us to make the bid. We didn't. We knew it's a high risk. And the drivers also knew that once they get involved with Taxelco, these things will occur.
At Champlain Taxi, which, as you note, is a co-op, owned by drivers, do you require your drivers to put a deposit down on their dome lights that say Champlain Taxi?
No, we don't. But I'll be honest with you, we've had with the deregulation of the taxi industry, we've had a lot of issues with illegal taxi drivers. We have a lot of people calling us up complaining that they took Champlain Taxi and maybe they ripped them off, and maybe they give bad service, and we look and they're not in our system anymore. We went to the police department. We've sent a letter to the mayor about this issue. So this is one way of making sure when the driver does leave the company, it's $250. He'll come back and say, here's my dome, not the dome itself, the sticker, because it's a sticker on the dome. The dome belongs to the driver. The sticker belongs to our company. So they come here, and if they had a $250 deposit, for sure, 9 out of 10 drivers will probably come get their $250. So I think they're trying to prevent illegal taxis on the road. That's one way of doing it. It's not a great way that's on the driver's back, but I think that's their goal with the $250 deposit.
From the perspective of the ADM, when they went with this Taxelco arrangement, why the exclusive? Why was the previous arrangement when drivers with a number of companies could bid, was that not working at the airport?
Years ago, before COVID, I had a meeting. I went with another taxi company, and we met the person in charge at the airport. Now, when the way it was before is the ADM had 400 cars there. They had 400 contracts. They had 400 drivers to deal with. They said they don't want to deal with 400 anymore. They wanted to pass that on to any company, so they can deal with it. So their goal was to kind of wipe their hands with all the responsibility, give it to a company, let them run it, the service, the complaints, anything that would go wrong, as long as they're making their money. So they just wanted to pass over the problems to a taxi company.
It does seem to me that if the ADM had been smart and also community friendly, they would have gone to these taxi co-ops and said, okay, you're all co-ops, you're all like, you're owned by your drivers, set up an organization to manage this for us. And so you'd have, again, a driver-managed arrangement that might be less likely to shaft the drivers.
Well, that was the idea 8-9 years ago when we went to talk to them, that we would organize something like that. But I think they just put a bid to get the highest amount. And to be honest with you, when they sent us that email, there was no way we can bid because we couldn't afford it. What they were asking was way too much, and all the penalties involved would cost us too much. And we had spoken with other companies, and basically we said, whoever takes this contract may end up going bankrupt in 2-3 years. So I'm looking at twice they raised the fee to the drivers. In my opinion, when you raise it twice, that means you're not breaking even, and you're trying to make up for the loss. Now, the monthly dues, we all have monthly dues. We all do raise it. Once a year, we do raise it, the cost of living, whether it's $10, $15, $20 a month. That's a common procedure for every company. But raising it twice in 1 year at the airport, to me, it just sounds like Taxelco's having a bit of they overpaid, and they're trying to get the money from the drivers.
Is it likely, George, that disgruntled drivers will leave Taxelco and come back to the co-ops like Champlain?
Well, we're not a co-op, we're probably your own company, but this is not only for the airport. This is their whole fleet. Because I've had in the last about 10 days about 5 drivers from Taxelco coming and wanting to join our company. These guys do not work at the airport. This is not only exclusive for airport drivers. This is their whole fleet that they're charging the $8 plus tax for the weekly rental of their dome, the raise of the dues. That's for everybody. Now, for the drivers at the airport, like I said before, they knew what they were getting into. But the airport has a certain calling for drivers. The money is better, much better. It's less stressful than working in the city. You can work 15 hours a day at the airport and you won't be as tired as working 8 hours in the city. Mm-hmm. So a lot of people want to go to the airport. So these drivers, I hate to say it because I drove 30 years and I went to the airport many times when it was a different industry. It is an addiction. They knew what they were getting involved with. They signed with Taxelco, and to kind of say we're going to strike and all that, personally, and I'm talking even as an ex-driver, I don't think it's right. I don't think it's right. And I got both ends because, like I said, I drove taxi for 30 years, my dad drove taxi, and I've been managing Champlain for 15 years. When you sign a contract with somebody and you know the history of this company, how they treat their drivers, I don't kind of have any sympathy for the drivers.
We always appreciate your frank insights, George. I'm so happy you were able to join us today.
I appreciate you calling me.
George Boussios, head of Champlain Taxi Champlain. It is traffic.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio setup better be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
You've heard the chaos. Now you can see it. Oh my God. Watch all your favorite podcasts from start to finish right inside the free iHeartRadio app.
Gets the blood going, huh?
Catch every laugh and eye roll on shows like the Tom Green Farmcast and Park the Bus. Now with full video.
We're building a ramp for Tony Hawk.
It's the same hosts and the same chemistry with all the hilarious moments you've been missing right on your screen.
Cheers.
Open the free iHeartRadio app, search video podcasts, and tap watch.
Breaking news. Considered. The Elias Macco Show. News Talk Radio. CJAD 800.
Now, we have some very disturbing stats in on deaths among homeless people here in Quebec. The numbers are startling. The increase about 180% between 2020 and 2024. And it's even more worrisome when you see the gender breakdown, because women seem to be particularly vulnerable to dying when they don't have a roof over their head. Here to help us understand what is going on is Dr. David Martin Milot, public health physician, one of the project's supervisors. Dr. Milot, thank you very much for joining us on CJAD.
Thanks to you. Hi.
Tell us about the numbers, the gender breakdown in terms of people dying when they don't have a place to call their own.
Yeah, well, we know that among the homeless population, there's more men than women who experience homelessness. It's the same for the deaths. But we have to analyze more specifically those deaths to see that although there's less women than men who experience homelessness who are dying, the increase is major. It's higher than within men. So we think that maybe in the last years there has been some situations or conditions that made the situation worse for women, basically. Leading them to die, and to die at a very premature age. They die younger than men as well among people who experience homelessness.
So during that period between 2020 and 2024, the death rate for men went up by 175%. The death rate for women went up 211%.
Exactly.
What are the special circumstances for women who find themselves without a home?
Well, first, there's the situation of people who experience homelessness. So we know that some people may have some other conditions, such as mental health illnesses or conditions, overdoses. Also, we know that lots of people die from overdoses, but there are some specific obstacles to women to access services. For example, or I know that we know that women are more exposed to trauma, to gender-based violence as well. And also to some barriers to some needs that they may have that are specific to them, such as needs of reproductive or sexual health care, or sometimes also childcare responsibilities that they may have. And so women among the population that is experiencing homelessness may live more or may experience more stigma and discrimination, and then delay their use of healthcare or not use healthcare at all, and then have those health conditions worsen and unfortunately leading to death as well.
It does seem to me that it's a possibility that a woman who is homeless might also find themselves out of desperation in situations where, she may put her trust into somebody who says, oh yeah, well, you can come and stay at my place and sleep on the couch or whatever. And the next thing you know, the person is demanding sexual favors, or the person is demanding that they go out and prostitute themselves, for example, to bring money to pay for their room and board type thing. That the exploitation possibilities seem to be pretty great.
Absolutely. And we know that women experience more hidden homelessness, which is people who are not visible in the streets or who will not use the services of shelters, but rather sleep at a friend's or someone in the family. So they don't have a home. They don't have their own home, but they So they put their trust in some people, and as you said, sometimes it's people who will lead them to networks of sex traffic or prostitution, and then it's even harder for them to get out of this because they are in the midst of the criminal networks.
Does the research suggest a way forward, a path forward, both for men and women on this score?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we need to analyze more data. What we launched recently was our preliminary results from the analysis of coronary reports. So when there's deaths that are either violent or obscure or are in a context of negligence, the coroners will investigate and then they will produce a report, and we use those reports to analyze them and to have that data that we're showing you. So there's probably more deaths than what we observed, because if someone, for example, who is homeless and has chronic disease that is exacerbating, they need to go to the hospital, but then it's not a death that is not expected. It's a bit more expected since it comes from a health condition that is known. It won't be investigated by the coroner. So we don't have that data. So what we do is we launched a surveillance program for community organizations and people who live, for example, with people who experience homelessness, so they can report the death of those people, and this will give us more detail on what is happening really on the field, and it will also help decision makers, community organizations to have more adapted interventions for the people who experience homelessness. So we hope it's going to bring some more actions and more changes in the life of those people. But first, we need to get that data, and that's what we're starting to do right now.
It does occur to me that the push that most of the time when we talk about homelessness these days, we're talking about the need to build more housing, to build affordable housing or supervised housing that has some element of supervision for people who are trying to escape the streets. But if a person has these underlying conditions, they might have a roof over their head, a new roof over their head and stable housing. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go and get regular health care. It doesn't mean that they're going to go and get addiction treatment. It seems that that just building places is not going to be enough. There's going to have to be a lot of follow-up. Would you agree?
Absolutely. I wish more people understood that as well, because it's one of the traps that we may have, thinking, well, people who don't have a home, we just need to bring them in a house and then it's going to be fine. But no, we really need to have what we call an intersectoral approach. So very many people from different sectors, health sectors, housing sector, etc., who work together in an approach for everyone who is experiencing homelessness. So that person who has a new roof, for example, will also have a better access to the services they may need for their mental health, for their physical health, for if they have children, so maybe social services. We really need to have that integrated approach for it to work. Otherwise, we're basically finding solutions that don't really bring a change to the situation.
Dr. Milot, thank you very much for joining us on CJAD.
Thanks to you, Trudy. Have a good day.
Dr. David Martin Milot, public health physician and one of the project supervisors. These numbers, by the way, out of the Université de Sherbrooke. After the 11 o'clock news, as reported by the well-rested after vacation James Foster, we will tackle how a new organization is helping Black politicians and wannabe politicians deal with putting themselves forward in election campaigns across Canada. That's coming up.
It's Charles Barkley with Wayfair. It's outdoor season, and my patio set up, they'll be ready to play. That's where Wayfair wins. Patio seating, umbrellas, and grills, all delivered fast and easy. Shop wayfair.ca now.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Hello, Canada.
This is Bryan Adams Radio. Hosted by Bryan Adams himself.
We'll play a few of mine, a ton of my favorites, and some must-hear behind-the-scenes stories from the world of rock and roll.
I'm coming to get you!
One thing about doing rock and roll so long is you end up meeting a lot of the people that you admire. Sometimes you even get to work with them.
It's only love, and that's all. Bryan Adams Radio. I'm coming back to you. Now available on the free iHeartRadio app.
Everybody
You're listening to the voice of Montreal.
News Talk Radio, CJAD 800.
An iHeartRadio station.
Hey, I'm Ruby Carr, the host of the podcast Encore. Check out our brand new episodes featuring music from the show that everyone is reheating as we speak, Heated Rivalry. Join me as I go behind the songs that brought Shane and Elia together. I'll tell you the stories of Feist, My Moon, My Man, Wolf Parade's I'll Believe in Anything, and Tattoo's All the Things She Said, and how they all became a part of this global phenomenon. Stream Encore on iHeartRadio, Crave, or wherever you get your podcasts.